Sunday not coming. Sunday is they here.
Yeah, man. And in this love week, there's a love week this
I
direction.
love. Oh yes, a
All the in love
Valentine's
people,
Day.
them,
Valentine's thing. True.
all the
Never
people
remember
who
that.
are in love and who love to love
And the
and who
people.
keep falling in love. Happy Valentine's Day to you. I thought I said we weren't going to date.
Are you? Are you?
I
Are
mean,
you?
come bringing
Are
it
you?
in.
Are you open the
The
door?
foolishness.
You open the
Good
door.
afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Scoops. And as you may have read from the flyer or seen on the flyer, this week we feature
The
the
man himself.
melodious voice of Mr. Fixit, Winston Francis.
And Winston joins us. May I tell you?
From London.
From London, England.
Yeah, man, my wave. Our people can see my wave.
Let me tell you something. When a man like David Radigan big you up, David Radigan described Winston as one of the biggest and the best voices he has heard coming out of Jamaica. And it's difficult to disagree.
Melodious, man. It reminds me of
difficult.
His voice, the timbre of his voice reminds me of Lord Creator. Of a similar timbre. Very melodious and coming like molasses.
Well, welcome. Let us welcome in our studio with us, all the way from London, England, Mr. Winston, Mr. Fixit, Francis. Winston, welcome to Sunday School.
Thank you so much, Richard. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I must say this is a long time coming because we talked about this over a year ago, didn't we?
A long time. You are
Yeah.
so correct. Yes. But listen, them said nothing happens before the time.
Patient, man.
All right.
There you go. And so this is the time, and them said, come at the hour, come at the man. And
Well
so
done.
here we are.
Man of the hour.
Man of the hour.
Or two
Mr.
hours.
Thank you so much.
Francis. Winston, you know, it's funny. There isn't a lot of I would say a lot of written material, but you do have an extensive online footprint. And you know, it makes for interesting watching.
Have him on website, Richard.
Yes. And so that speaks volumes. But your reputation takes us back to the early days of Jamaican music. And you know, I have to say that this today is your show. We are just providing you with the microphone and the amplifier to send that, you know, to take us back to school, if you will, as to the music, where it's coming from. This month is being celebrated as Reggae Month. We are now sitting in the second week. And so, you know, you would have watched all these developments. And so these are the things we want to talk about. And plus we have a couple of questions we want to think.
Sure.
Tell us about Winston. Where did it all begin? How did you get started?
I would actually started. There was a guy, I think he was Trinidadian. His name was Joseph Clemendor, and he came to Jamaica doing a one-man show, and he called himself the Opera Man. And he was a singer, a contortionist. He did everything. He did a one-man show, which was fabulous. But he made the mistake of putting out not a threat, but say anyone who could do one of his acts, because he went to school in India to learn contortion. So coming to a little country like Jamaica, he figured, well, nobody in Jamaica can do anything like I'm doing. So he said, anyone who can do one of his acts, he would give a sum of £50. At that time, £50 could buy a house. So,
you could almost buy a house with £50, eh?
I'm telling you. So, you know, I was doing these acts before, but not knowing what I was doing. I was just bending myself, you know, putting myself, you know, and every time my mom saw it, you know, she would scream. You know, any grown-up saw my stomach, they thought something was wrong with me because my stomach came out like a balloon, and I would pull it back into my rib cage, so you could almost feel my rib cage. you know, and I was walking on my hands, you know, putting my hands through my legs, my two around my neck, and I was walking like a, you know. So when he put out this thing, saying anyone who could do one of his acts would get £50, I took up the my father took up the challenge, you know. So he came to this guy came to the cleaner company where my father was working, and you know, he said, well, if this guy can do one of my acts, let's see it. And they put me on the table. And when I did the first one, he said, stop. I was only making a joke when I said I could pay £50. You know,
so you mean you never get money?
Renegade.
No. Didn't get a dime. But we became good friends because he became a good friend. You know, so and I learned so much from him, you know. And I promised myself that one of these days I'm going to record one of his songs. I don't know if you remember a song called it's gone. But he did a couple of songs that were big in Jamaica, and they were calypso songs. You know, where he was saying, I ain't paying, put me in jail, do what you like, I ain't paying. Congress my big cards, go my naked and every woman ever right to bind she baby. Don't know if you remember that song.
No.
It was a big calypso song, right? So anyway, after you had a traveling circuit, a traveling show in Jamaica with two guys called Bim and Bam.
Yes, remember that.
And they used to do a lot of concerts all over the island. So they incorporated me into their show as the Cobra Boy. After this guy left, I became the Cobra Boy. The Cobra Man is gone, so the boy could go. And I started out when I was 7 years old.
Wow.
And when I was 12 years old, I was still being billed as 7-year-old boy wonder. So, you know, after the shows died down, you know, you had guys in Jamaica who were singing at on the Virgin's Opportunity Hour and different competitions. You know, guys like the great Jimmy Tucker. I don't know if you've heard of Jimmy Tucker, one of the greatest voices that came out of Jamaica, tenor. And also a young man called Hugh Francis. He was another great singer, you know. And then you had Ellis, who was
Alton's sister.
Sister, right? Now she was the singer in the family. That's Alton. Alton was the dancer. And because when you had these competitions in most of the cinemas in Jamaica, like the Palace Theatre, the Ward Theatre, you know, Queen
Ambassador,
Bass, as we used to call it, Bass, you know, Queens, you know, every Tuesday night or Friday night they would have a competition, and the top prize at the end of the competition was £10, but during the week it would be 10 shillings and or 30 shillings, £1 and 30 shillings. Now that was a lot of money.
30 shillings, that's one.
You know, because at that time, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of money because grown-ups were getting like 7 and 6 pence a week, you know, as salary. So 30 shillings was a lot of money, you know, because if you enter the competition and you won one of the shows, when you get off stage, you'd have a queue of guys waiting to get some of your money. So you had to, if you're going in the competition and you figure you're going to win, you know, you had to have at least 10 guys as your bodyguard. So you get 30 shillings, but you'll have to give away 10 to your bodyguard because you can't get out of the theater with 30 bucks. You're going to get robbed. They're going to take your money away. You know, but you're on the other side of it, whenever Jimmy Tucker was singing, or Hugh Francis or Alton Ellis, don't go to the show. If you want to compete, don't go because you can't win. Because when Alton's sister walks out on stage, before she open her mouth, the theater
Tear
stopped,
down.
teared out, teared out. And when Jimmy Tucker singers like Mary Lanza, and there was a movie called the Student Prince,
Yes, a student, right.
and the star was Edmund Purdom, and Mary Lanza did the voicing. And when Jimmy Tucker sang, I'll Walk with God or Ave Maria, okay? So I became interested, because I had a good tenor voice. So I started, going into the competitions, and I was winning, and I used to take home the money, and it helped the family, because remember, like I said, at that time, if you won the big competition, 10 pounds was a lot of money, so we loved winning the money. So I started singing. And then later on, I became interested in groups. And at that time, Carlos Malcolm and Zappa Jamaica Rhythms had just started. And Carlos wanted, a vocal, somebody took the front. So he asked me. But I was doing a competition at the War Theatre called A Star Is Born. And I entered the competition with a group that we put together called the Sheridan. And I remember when we did the first show, one of the guys in the group called Alan, he was not really a really good singer. So we needed somebody else. So I said to the bass singer, whose name is Edwin Brown, who lives in Canada now. I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago. And Edwin, said, let's find a new singer to enter the group. So we were looking for someone. We were asking all over the place. We went to Studio One, go everywhere, asking if we could find someone who could join the group to sing. Couldn't find anyone. And one evening, I was home, and we would start rehearsing like about 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, and we were outside my gate, outside the fence. And Rommel came up, the bass singer, and he brought this little lad with him, very dark skin, and good looking guy. And I said, who's this? And he said, I think we can use this kid as a singer because he's got a very, very nice voice, but he doesn't know any harmony, so we'll have to teach him. So I said, okay. So I said, sing a song for us. And he sang a song. And I said, yeah, you got a good tone, good voice. So let's, see if we can, get it together. The other guy in the group was called Owen Roberts, but we call him Spirit. And Spirit started showing him how, the line done. And we started, and we spent about maybe two or 3 hours with him, rehearsing. And he was coming on very well. So we were getting excited and say, well, tomorrow night, if you come back tomorrow, we'll start again and, we'll continue. And at that time, I was going out with there was a group in Jamaica called the Gaylets. And there was a young lady who started the group. She's the one who actually brought Judah Moores into the music. And her name was Barry Lawson. And I was going out with her. She was my girlfriend. So after the rehearsal that evening, we all went our separate ways. I went into the house. Mama was living in my house. So we went in, and I got changed to go out and go visit Beryl. And when I came out, this kid was still sitting on the wall outside my house. And I said, you ain't gone home? And he says, no, I don't live anywhere. I said, what do you mean you don't live anywhere? He said, well, I don't live anywhere. So I went back inside and said, Mama, where you find this kid? And he said, down Waltham Park Road, near the gully. And I said, he's still outside there. And he said, what? I said, come out and have a word with him. So Brahma said, where you live? And he says, I don't live anywhere. I sleep on the side of the gully. So, man, I said, I can't have him doing this. So I went back inside and I told my mom the story. And she said, well, listen, if Brahma can get him to stay in his room and we can make up a bed for him, I'll buy him a bed tomorrow. And she did exactly. We made up, with a couple of blankets, a couple of sheets, and made up a bed for him. And he slept with in Brahma's room that night. And the next day my mom went out and bought him a single bed, and that's where he lived for 15 years, and that was Pat Kelly.
Wow.
You mean big vocalist Pat Kelly from the Technique?
His name was Horatio Kelly. Yeah, Pat Kelly. He gave himself the name Pat because of my sister Patsy.
Wow.
Yeah, that was Pat Kelly. That's where he started. He started in Sheridan.
Wow.
Yep. And
Interesting. I would never have known, because that is not out there.
No, it's not out there because we didn't really put it out there.
It's out there now.
Well, it's history, and if you check back today, a lot of people are starting to talk about the Sheridans today. They was one of the best groups, there in Jamaica, because we actually won that competition. With A Star Is Born at the Carrick Theatre with it was something, can't remember the name of the guy, but it was a really, really great competition. And after the competition, and people were
Gary Johns?
No, this was oh man, he was from the JBC, Sonny Bradshaw.
Oh, Sonny Bradshaw 7.
Yeah.
Right.
And Bradshaw 7. Well, Sonny was like, he's the one who actually got the backing to put the show on, Star Is Born. And the top prize was a trip to go to the Ed Sullivan show in New York.
Yeah.
That was the top prize. But after people were really getting angry and said, the Sheridans, they gave it to Eddie Parkins, who used to sing with Alton. Used to be Alton and Eddie.
Alton and Eddie, yes.
Right. Well, they gave it to Eddie Parkins. And when, people confronted Sonny, he said, you people didn't listen to the name of the show. It's called Star Is Born, not Stars Are Born. You only have one ticket. So we had to give it to an individual. That's why we gave it. Right? So right after that, we were disappointed, but the complimentary prizes were okay. We got some deck chairs and some aluminum chairs, which were very fashionable, and I think we got £200 or something like that, which was big money still, So after that, Carlos asked us if we could join his band. So we started working with Carlos, and most Friday nights we were working at the Sombrero Club.
That's on Mullines Road.
On Mullines Road, right.
Right.
So we started working with Carlos. And, we used to travel all over the island with Carlos, everywhere, And we did a few gigs with Byron Lee, I remember one day we were sitting, boys in Jamaica, we sit on the wall, and we're outside sitting on the wall. And a car came around the corner on its side, and it was running Nasrallah in the car. And he says, hey, you guys, can you come quickly? Let me take you. We have a show at the Regal, because the drifters, the American drifters, were appearing, right? And midway through the show, the people started saying, "Come over the stage," and they said, "Bring the Sheridans," because we used to sing most of the drifter stuff. So Ronnie had to come and get us, and we tailed it to Regal. And when we went to Regal, man, pandemonium. And when they said the Sheridans are here, after the show, the Drifters manager, the guy, I think his name was Alan Daly, was his name. And he asked us, he says, what school did you guys go to? What academy did you guys go to learn such beautiful harmonies? We said, we don't go to school. We listen to the Drifters. You know, I remember a few years ago in England, Dennis Al Capone was talking to me one day, and he said, because I still maintain that name, Cobra. And, lot of the guys still call me Cobra instead of Winston. And Dennis said to me, Cobra, the first time I hear, was at Tropical Theater with Carlos Narco. And when you guys came out and started singing, I thought you were American. I said, no, man. We used to listen to the drifters. That's how we got, to learn the harmonies. We listened to the drifters. And their manager was telling us that we sang better than them, or harmonies.
Well, if I might just cut in there just a second, because this I find that hilarious.
From the very beginning,
the drifters. Let me tell you something, Winston. Somebody tell me that Paul from Paul Campbell.
Right.
Okay. When you bring Winston on the show, so Winston I shoot from the minute the show opening a pure shot of fire. But seriously. For the people who are just joining us, if you're just joining, we we have in studio with us Winston Francis, a man who is taking us way back. I mean, this is one of our contribution to Reggae Month, and Winston is regaling us with some of those stories.
Early stories.
The early stories of the music. I always knew that Alton Ellis was a dancer, but I didn't know his sister was the big singer.
Yes. Artens.
Yeah.
And because of Artens, I got one of the hardest box from my mother, because I fell in love with Artens. And I told my mother one day, I'd love to marry Artens. One box. And so Artens could be a mother boy. What's up, bro?
I love big
woman. She was such a beautiful voice, man.
She was. In fact, as you mentioned that, what I'd love you to share, especially since, because Artens represented an overlap coming out of that blues and soul, Jamaican soul and blues era into rock steady.
Right.
Share some of your earliest experiences of the rock steady era and how that influenced your musical style.
Well, to be honest, when Rocksteady started, I wasn't really. Rocksteady was about 64, 65. I think.
You get a little spiffy with your audio.
Pardon?
Yeah, your audio keep tripping in and out. I don't know what's going on. If maybe you want to come closer to your microphone. Yeah.
Yeah, you think that's better?
Yeah, yes. Better. Absolutely better.
Right. Like I said, when Rocksteady actually started, 64, 65.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't in Jamaica.
Right.
I was in Miami. I started working. Well, we went to Freeport, Grand Bahama in 1964 with Carlos Narco, and we stayed until 65 because Carlos, we were working between Freeport, Grand Bahama, and Nassau. So I remember the first time that I actually got to grips with Rocksteady was Lloyd the Matador. He came to Miami to stay with me. It's in a book called Matador, because I didn't know anyone knew about it, or he told anyone, but I actually invited him to come to my home in Miami. And when he came, I was says, what's the latest dance in Jamaica? And he started showing me this Rocksteady dance, and I was saying, wow, And even though we were such good friends, I never recorded for him. The only person I recorded for 2 people in Jamaica, and that was Clifford Ray, who owned West Indies Records, and Coxon. I did one track in Treasure Isle, but it wasn't for Duke Reed. It was for
Patty Joe.
No. It was Bruce Ruffin.
Oh yes, I know Bruce Ruffin, right?
A song called "Go Find Yourself a Fool."
Mm-hmm.
He came to my house one Sunday, and he said, Winston, I've got this track that I want to record, and you are the man for it. And I said, really? He said, yeah. I said, okay. When you want it done? And he said, I want it done tomorrow. I said, I'm going back to Miami tomorrow, going back to school. And he said, what time is your flight? And I said, 3:00. He said, we finished record long before that. He said, what you do is just bring your suitcase where you're taking with you so you can leave from the studio straight to the airport. And we did that. And at that time, there was no cassette. There was no means of hearing a song played because the only thing
One day.
yeah, but you couldn't afford to buy a tape recorder to listen to the music, because at that time it was like Revox, and if you buy a Revox, you can buy a car and a house. You know? So, yeah, for real, because cassettes actually started coming into being in I think it was about 1972, 73. Yeah, about 72, 73. Cassettes, started becoming popular.
And for a brief minute, it went to 8-track and then back to cassette.
It was 8-track before that. It was 8-track before. So when Bruce asked me, to record a song, he had to sing it to me. And the first time I heard the rhythm is when we got to the studio. Day. And when we got to the studio, Thin Legs, who was the engineer, he played it for me a few times, and I ran through the lyrics quite a few times. And then I recorded it. And when I recorded it, I heard it. And he said, I'm going to put some backing vocals on it. And I said, great. And I caught the flight that day. And I never heard the song again until 1969, when I came to London for the first time. I was in a club called Q Club. And I heard Lloyd Coxon playing the song. And I said, that's the track I did for Bruce. And my brother came over and said, did you hear what Lloyd Coxon just said? I said, no. He says, this song is by the Techniques. But he said, it's not the Techniques singing, it's Winston Francis. Because Lloyd knew my voice. And that was the first time I heard the track, Go Find Yourself a Fool.
For the record, and for those who don't know, Lloyd Coxon, actually his real name is Lloyd Blackford.
Yeah, Blackford. Yeah, he's got nothing to do with Coxon.
Lloyd, he called himself Lloyd Coxon. Yes. From a music standpoint, but one of the biggest sound system man in the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Very controversial figure.
Very controversial.
But a big soul man. When you're talking about the establishment of the sound system in the United Kingdom, Lloyd Coxon is the backbone of that. We're gonna talk a little piece of one of that music. I know God been lining up something here.
Yeah.
Just a thing.
I wish I could find the original of Go Find Yourself a Fool. But you re-recorded it in the 1980s, right?
Yes, but the original track, it came out. It didn't come out as Winston Francis. It came out as the Techniques.
Yeah, but let's give a listen.
Okay.
We up on a break. We're gonna come back, and as we come back, we're gonna come back in with a little piece of Go Find Yourself.
Hi there. If you enjoyed that clip, go on over to our website at yardmedia.com, where you can watch the entire broadcast at your leisure. And while you're there, why don't you check out our other reggae music features? And before you leave, pick up some of our Jamaican reggae merchandise, and hey, don't forget to tell your friends.